Let's move on and let's talk about Jared Goff. Jared Goff has been the quarterback for the Detroit Lions for 3 years now. 21, 22, and he'll be coming into his third year, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Not so many people were thrilled with him in 2021. He kind of got this Goff army behind him in 2022, somehow.
Cult army.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And had a really good second half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I have been very outspoken in my dislike of him as the potential future quarterback of the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. Resign myself to the fact that he's the current quarterback. Have we been unfair? Have I been unfair?
No, you have not. And you know what? I'm ready for the Goff army. Let me roll my sleeves up, bro, because I'm tired of y'all. Honestly, listen, Jared Goff has been serviceable for what we had from Stafford. No one expected him to look as good as he did last year. We'll give him that credit. However, there's still a ceiling for this man. I spoke on it last season. Jared Goff is a quarterback where everything around him has to be perfect. And we saw that last season. Now, granted, he couldn't get the ball off. He's getting hit a lot. He didn't have no consistent receivers to throw to until the second half of the year when they got Ben Johnson as offensive coordinator, where they brought in Josh Reynolds.
Made him better.
Very true. Very, very true. And considering that, again, we saw his play pick up. We saw some wins come about. That's fine. They still were bad last season. And there were still parts of the season this year where he was not good, where things went wrong, where they were on the road, and he was just not an impressive quarterback. Now, again, he looks good in some spots, but it's only predicated on things being right around him. I don't think he's making guys better. Like, I don't think he's an improving quarterback.
No, he's not.
He's not a guy that, again, everything has to be set neatly for him to succeed. And if that's what you're going to bank your future on, you're in a tough spot, especially considering, look at what your boy Derek Carr just got paid. We're just talking about guys that got dealt. If we're going to pay him, it's going to be somewhere north or around what we just gave or what Derek Carr just got. I don't want to pay Jared Goff that money. I don't. I'd rather build a guy late in the draft or for the future and take the reins when it's time to move on from Goff. I don't think we've been unfair to him. I think the Goff army is way overblown in their support. I think we need to take it back a little bit with him.
You're really going to make me do this? Look at that evil smirk.
It's my favorite episode of this show. Do it. Talk to me, AJ.
I was unfair to Jared Goff.
Yes!
For the second half of the season last year. I will admit that.
Okay, just the second half. Okay.
Eric, you know as well as I do that momentum does not carry over from one season to the other.
I agree.
It does not.
Mm-mm.
So the success that he had over the last 10 games in 2022 does not mean that he will have the same success in 2023. Now, let me be very clear. I'm hoping he has the same success.
Me too.
Because if Jared Goff is better, our team is better. But the thing about him is the same thing that I kind of had with Anthony Richardson. There's just too many inconsistencies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looked good against the Seattle Seahawks in week 4, right? Where he threw for 374 yards and how many touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also down 20 points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And he looked really good in the second half of the season. But again, I go back to, who were they playing in the second half of the season? The Bills were the best team that they played. And yes, they almost beat the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Have we been unfair? I think some of the criticism is probably being unfair.
How so?
Because when it mattered, he did play really well.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. I mean,
I can't.
Look, last year, he was number 2 overall in DVOA. 24.8%. He was 24.8% better than the average quarterback. That's significant.
Mm-hmm.
You know who was number 1?
Who?
Pat Mahomes. Jared Goff was second to Pat Mahomes in DVOA.
Mm-hmm.
72.4 PFF grade, 65.1 completion percentage, 4,438 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Like, that's a good stat line for a quarterback.
Okay.
And I probably hated on him a little bit too harshly. But I don't think I'm wrong, though, in saying I'm okay with him being the quarterback right now.
Yes.
I'm not okay with him being signed to an extension as a quarterback, because then we're signing a 31-year-old quarterback to be here till he's 35 at minimum, because he's not taking less than a 4-year deal that Derek Carr just took.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to read you a stat, and I don't even know if you know this stat.
Let's hear it.
We talk about numbers, right? You talk about Derek Carr's numbers.
Mm-hmm.
4 years, 150, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
We focus so much on those numbers. What we need to focus on is the percentage of the cap that salary is.
Yeah.
Because since 2011, according to SpotRack, since 2011, from 2011 to 2021, you know the highest percentage cap hit of a quarterback winning the Super Bowl was? If you were to throw out a percentage, what do you think it is? Percentage of the cap.
I'm imagining it's low. It's got to be low. I don't want to put a number. I'm imagining it's extremely low. Mahomes is the exception.
12.6%.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe between 10 to 15. Okay.
12.6%.
Okay.
Winning the Super Bowl. The highest going to the Super Bowl was Peyton Manning at about 18%. Now, Pat Mahomes this year is the first quarterback since ever that's been over 20% of his team's cap. He was at 22.3. The money is not... It's not necessarily the issue, it's the cap space. If Jared Goff is going to renegotiate, maybe we extend him for a year or two. But it's that cap hit that's going to be such a massive issue.
Yep.
And that's why he's owed 21.65 this year. He's owed 20.9 this year, 21.65 in 2024.
Okay.
And then he's a free agent. That's 2 years. This season and the following season. To groom a quarterback, develop a quarterback, and then thank you for where you brought us. Hope the door doesn't hit you on the way out.
Because you've also said too, like we just talked about last week, you said you believe they should draft a quarterback and even look at signing a free agent to bring it as a backup as well. Like
I do. So let's say, for instance, you did take Richardson at 6.
Okay.
Richardson should never see the field this year, which means he should be buried on the depth chart.
Sure.
He should dress, have a clipboard, a headset, but not a helmet.
Okay.
And I'm putting my kicker in as a third string quarterback before he ever sees game action. In year one.
Unless it's a human victory cigar, with a 40-point blowout of the Bears.
Yeah, okay. That would
okay.
work.
All right, good. Okay, thank you.
But I'm not letting that young quarterback that I'm trying to develop see the field at all in year one.
Okay.
In year two, that player moves up to be the number 2 quarterback. And then as Jared Goff is on his way out, now we have our starting quarterback that's been groomed for 2 years. And we've seen the model work. I mean, Green Bay's been trying it for about a decade with Jordan Love. That ain't gonna work. But you saw it successfully work out in San Francisco or in Kansas City with Pat Mahomes and Alex Smith. Yep. So, yes, we were probably a little bit unfair to Jared Goff in season. I'm with some people on that. The Goff army was vindicated. There's no doubt about that. And I've got no problem admitting that. He did vindicate them because they stuck by him and he played well. But that vindication ended when the season ended.
Yeah.
Because now is next season. And we'll see how it plays out. And here's the other thing. Our expectations for Jared Goff in 2022 were about right here, right?
Yeah, they're mad low.
Okay.
Yeah.
He exceeded them because it wasn't really that hard to exceed them.
In the NFC, yeah, for sure.
Where do you think those expectations are for 2023?
Skyrocketed through the roof. Goff thanks to the Goff army because of y'all. Like y'all comparing him,
that's
put
why
up the
I
stats.
think that a 1 year sample size is way too small.
Yep.
A 10 game sample size. It's not even a 1 year. It's a 10 game sample size, which is fine. Again, I'm not trying to bag on the guy. I was unfair for the last 10 games. I will grant that. But we got to be careful of the expectations that we set, because unmet expectations are the seatbed of disappointment.
Absolutely. But I mean, this is where we are. Even if you want to take it further, because I don't think the first year was enough to judge him. I don't think this past season was enough to judge him. This is going to be the most accurate reading we have of Jared Goff.
Absolutely.
With all the resources that he has, with all the expectation of the world on his shoulder, everything that the Goffense army has been preaching, we need to see this coming season without question. He can't be like, people were putting up his numbers saying, oh, who would you rather have, him or Josh Allen? Who would you rather have, him or Lamar? Like, people were going buku on social media about that.
He does take care of the ball better than Josh Allen does.
That's fine. I still wouldn't rather have him than Josh Allen. Sorry, I wouldn't. So, like, yes, even last year, he only had 8 picks last year, 7 this season. He takes a good care of the ball. But he also is not the most gutsy with, like, his throws either. He's not throwing in tight windows. He's not slinging, like, in those kind of, like, gunslinger type throws anyway, because you're very, reserved and methodical with him.
The best throw that he made all season was his last throw.
100% it was. I agree with you on that.
In between two defenders, right on the money for the slant.
Yes.
Loved it. That was his best throw all season.
It was. And like, considering what we've seen and what we know about him, I don't think it's enough tape to make a definitive agreement on who he is or what he's going to be, which is why the door should be open on bringing in somebody else for the future. Because I don't think he's answered that question yet. I don't.
I think Brad spoke to it though, right? Like Jerry, Goff is a starter for 2023. That.
We're cool with that. Yes,
and that's cool. But they also said that they're looking for a quarterback to develop.
Yes,
and you don't sign a free agent quarterback to develop, because usually they're older. You look to draft somebody to develop.
You know what?
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You can even make the argument to an extent that even as a quarterback, you can make the argument he's not the most valuable piece to this offense. You can make the argument that the running game is more valuable than him for what they needed and how they played. Like, he's good. He's serviceable for what you need. But please, let's stop talking about this dude like he's just solidified top 3. Like, he's just a franchise changer that we know
for 2022.
Based on actually hold on, let's change something. Let me change something, because you said his expectation was here. Let's move it up a little bit, because we
for got 2023 it is.
Let's move it up even more because of that, because you traded Stafford for him, and even with wanting to rebuild, you still want to see something of him. Now, granted,
I cannot explain to you how upset I am that you are making me defend this right now.
You don't have to. You can just say,
I do, though, right, so that it's correct, because the expectations are low when you literally call the guy a bridge the moment he steps into Detroit.
But his expectation wasn't just for winning. Let's also agree that even if he wasn't going to take you to a Super Bowl, the playoffs, people were talking about the possibility of ditching him, moving on, and maybe using him as a trade piece to bring in something else for the future. So there was a lot of expectation on him to validate some of his value. He's a number 1 overall pick. I think people forget about that. So, like, he's still, so yes, it wasn't like through the moon, get us to the Super Bowl or you're a bum expectations, but we wanted to see what he was made of in terms of a move and getting rid of Matthew Stafford.
I'm trying to remember that draft, because I don't think, if we were in any other year, I don't think he would have been the number 1 overall pick.
Okay, there's probably some truth to that. He went over Carson Wentz. He
went over Carson Wentz. He's trash.
Yeah.
Bosa, Elliott, Jalen Ramsey, Ronnie Stanley, DeForest Buckner, Jack Conklin,
Ezekiel
Eli
Elliott.
Apple was a top 10 pick. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Laramie Tunsil.
Lions ended up with Taylor Decker that year.
Yeah, like if we look at like the previous season, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, probably wouldn't have drafted them over Goff.
No.
Mitch Trubisky in the following year probably wouldn't have drafted him. I mean, maybe he was worth the number 1 overall pick. Pat Mahomes was in the 2017 draft, so the year after Goff.
Crazy. Number 9 pick, yeah.
Yeah, number 10.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, that's right.
Pick.
One after, yup, 10, my bad.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just want to see him be consistent. I don't even care if he regresses to the median because at least that's better than 2021, and it kind of validates my thinking. If he goes out and plays top 5 again in 2023, then I'm going to have to be on here being like, Jared, I'm so sorry. Jared, I am so sorry. Please forgive me. But I don't think I'm going to have to because if he regresses to the median, he's still pretty good.
Sure.
The Lions can win games in spite of that, especially if they fix their defense.
Okay, I agree.
And I'll be right. So it works out both ways.
Have your validation, Cam. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll have my validation
That's
since
fine.
the doggone Goff Army got it in 2022.
I don't think they did, though. I don't. Like, you can't just be elite.
They won't be vindicated until he signs a contract extension here.
And you need to play some elite games on the road, not just at home. I need to see that, too.
Well, I mean, Green Bay, that's the start of it.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, the moment... I think the moment Holmes signs him to an extension beyond this contract is the moment that actually Holmes signs his walking papers. Because if you extend Goff, it will go downhill quickly. Not saying that he won't take a team-friendly deal. I just don't believe he will. And I would really prefer that deal stays underneath 12% of the cap hit.
Yeah.
Will it be? I don't know.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of players.
Right now, he's a 13% cap hit.
Yeah. It's like a lot of other players we've seen that they're on the market now. Oh, I'll take less to come back to Detroit. I don't think Goff is going to make that case at all. I don't see that coming from him.
He might. I mean, I don't know. He seems bought in, but we'll see. Time will tell. Jared, I'm sorry for bagging on you in this last 10 games of the season.
No, he's not.
I am. He played well, and I was too stubborn to admit it. But we'll see. Prove me wrong again. There's your chip on your shoulder. You have no idea who I am, but soon you will. And prove me wrong.
He loves Beyond the Box. He's an avid follower. I got sources.
Sure
I got sources tapped in.
Love it. Well, this has been Beyond the Box.
Yep.
And we are going to sign off for another night. We will see you again Friday. He is Eric. I am AJ. Until then, have a great week.